Welcome, everyone, special guests, Mandalorians. I hope you like secretions.
Is Star Wars even really meant to be? Before in my notes, I had a video called Star Wars Finally Figured Out Its Footing. And it was going to be me talking about how Star Wars stumbled a little bit with the sequels, but then they moved over to making TV shows and started really hitting its stride for the first time in years. And this was mostly because of The Mandalorian, because those first 2 seasons were actually incredible. So you have to understand where I'm coming from. And I hadn't watched it, but the Clone Wars was getting pretty good praise for the final season, and so was Andor. So it seems like where Star Wars shined was TV. And then we got to that clip that I showed you at the beginning of the video. Then Obi-Wan had mixed reviews, and then Ahsoka's looking kind of outside of the Anakin shit. So it made me ask the question, was Star Wars even really meant to be?
You're fucking with the wrong people.
Now keep in mind, this isn't coming from some super fan of Star Wars. I did grow up with it. I watched the Clone Wars, a little bit of the prequels here and there, but I'm not some guy who could sit down and write a 20-page essay about the Star Wars lore. I'm not that entrenched in the shit. But at the end of the day, I would still claim myself as a pretty big Star Wars fan. And I say all of that to say this: current Star Wars probably isn't where it should be. And this isn't coming from some loser incel saying that, oh, Star Wars is woke now, why is there so many women characters, yada yada yada. No, this is coming from me saying this because I just don't think it's where it should be. And that's not me repeating something I heard on somebody else's Star Wars video. That's my real opinion. And an example of modern Star Wars not being where it should be: when Book of Boba Fett came out, everybody was praising it. Then at the halfway mark, some things started to go left. It had everything Star Wars in it. Everything that made Star Wars was in it, but to a fault. Yeah, you had Mandalorian in it. Yeah, you had Luke in it. Yeah, you had Grogu in it. But that's a lot of stuff going on for this to be called the Book of Boba Fett. And had that shit have been just called the Book of Star Wars, we wouldn't have had a problem. And the thing that stings the most is that Star Wars fans had been begging and pleading for something Boba Fett related because he was such a popular character and he just got done so dirty. They just wanted to see something more. They finally do something with the character and he takes a backseat to everything Star Wars related that's not him. And then I have the strangest feeling I know why they did this. When The Mandalorian came out and that Luke scene happened, you could not avoid it. Everybody was talking about Star Wars again, and I have the feeling that Disney wanted to replicate that every time they had something with Star Wars, but you can't just show Luke again. You gotta ramp it up. You gotta show Luke with Grogu. You gotta show the Mandalorian coming back before his season. And they were just so obsessed with getting that viral moment that they sacrificed Boba Fett. And I won't say that they did this again in Ahsoka, but spoilers, Ezra did show up in the show, and a lot of people are talking about it. They have a formula they want to stick to, and it works for them, I guess. Then you have Obi-Wan, which is another show I hadn't watched because, to be quite frank, nothing about the Star Wars shows grabbed me enough to be like, I need to watch this. This is gonna be amazing, because 9 times out of 10, given a track record now, it won't be. But talking about Obi-Wan, it has some pretty mixed opinions, to say the least.
Star Wars Clone Wars. I've got a bad feeling about this. We'll continue in a moment.
Hey, you done watched halfway into this video. You like what I'm saying. Why is this button still red? Press the button. Join the family.
Star Wars Clone Wars.
Doubly I do, Jedi.
Now continues.
And by mixed opinions, I mean it's split down the complete middle. Some people love to say that it was an 8-hour movie split up into multiple episodes and it was just bad. Then you have the other people who say that this was one of the best Star Wars anythings. And like I said, I haven't watched it, but me personally, I think the truth is probably somewhere in between the both of those statements. But from the little bit that I've seen, it has its highlights and it has its lowlights. Then you move over to The Mandalorian Season 3. The scene that I showed you at the beginning of this video, it was a scene that was supposed to be funny. It was not funny. It was a scene that did not look good. Visually, compared to everything that they've done in the previous 2 seasons, overall, it just had a crazy quality drop. And that scene alone made me not want to watch the show because it's literally just Lizzo and Jack Black. It's not like they got makeup on or anything, or they're voicing a character or something. No, it's quite literally just Lizzo and Jack Black. Jack Black is just acting like himself. And it's not funny. I think that's the worst part for me. Jack Black and Lizzo being in it, whatever, I could look past it if it was good. It's like, bro, what are we doing? There's nothing special about them. They're literally just in Star Wars. Whoever came up with that idea needs to be stoned in a coliseum in front of 20,000 people. And ever since that day where I decided I'm not going to watch the show, I haven't heard anything about the show. And normally within those first 2 seasons of The Mandalorian, I would have seen a clip, I would have heard something about it, like, alright, let me go watch it before I get spoiled for the rest of everything. I guess there just wasn't anything that great this time around. Then we move on to the most recent Star Wars TV project, Ahsoka. Deadass, everything I've seen from that show just looks dry. I don't know how to explain it. It looks like it needs lotion. Like there's no flavor, no seasoning. You can't even throw like buffalo sauce on it to make it taste better. It's just dry. Then they kind of just threw Anakin in the episodes. Like obviously there's a reason for him to be there, but they threw him in there and everybody just kind of decided to ignore the faults the show had. It's almost like they expected us to be like, oh, Anakin's here now. The show can't be bad. If only it was that simple, Star Wars. But back to Ahsoka in general. The lightsaber fights and the way they have lightsabers move now, they look so boring. Now, I say all that to say this. Have I seen anything from this show that makes me feel like I need to watch it? Yes, I'd be a liar if I said no. They have Anakin in it. I have to watch it. Will I end up liking that episode? Yeah, probably. Will I end up liking the show in general? That's where problems start to pop up, and that's why I asked the question. Is Star Wars meant to be? Because everything that we've seen from Star Wars is showing that it's been on a decline slowly but surely. And if not that, it'll make a good show, then right back to some ass. And it really is upsetting because I know how good Star Wars is and I know how much potential Star Wars has. But it seems like whoever gets their hands on it doesn't quite know what to do to make it really work. And with a franchise like Star Wars, that simply shouldn't be the case. But hey, who am I and what do I know? It's not like I work in the business or something. I don't know why I said it like that because I deadass don't work in the business, but hey, if you like this video, leave a like. If you really like this video, subscribe. Tell me what you like and don't like about Star Wars. Stay safe, drink some water, and as always, have yourselves a damn good one.